This is boss rankings for Dark Souls 3. I've got my pal Chris on with me this time.
Hi, thanks for having me, Joe.
No problem. So if you've seen any of my other ranking videos, um, it's D's the poo poo stinky, S is best of the best. Um, we're looking at it in like a bunch of different angles, like the actual fight, lore, soundtrack, arena, all that fun stuff. Who should we start off with? I'll let you pick first.
I think we just go alphabetically. I think that's going to keep things. It's gonna keep things easy for my reptile brain.
That's completely fair. So we're starting off
Yeah.
with Abyss Watchers. We're starting off pretty strong. These guys,
Oh, definitely.
uh, the best like early game boss fight in probably the franchise, I want to say.
Oh, hands down, hands
Yeah,
down. I mean, they are one of the best enemies from a mechanic standpoint. Um, and they're also great. They've got a great second phase, got a great first phase. The lore implications of them are just really interesting, really engaging. The
yeah,
only thing that really lets them down is the area beforehand for me, just Farron Keep.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
Fahrenkeep is like my least favorite poison swamp zone that they've made, but I think the Abyss Watchers kind of make up for it. Because the thing I really like them about is you've got the like unique gimmick of them all going at each other in the first phase, and then you got like the one-on-one duel in the second phase. So it's got like the best of both worlds, as Miley Cyrus would say.
Yeah. I liked your comparison in the Dark Souls 3 video where you just called it a free for all.
It
It's
is.
really just it really does have that um like a Shattered Order kind of feel to it where they they've kind of fallen from grace in keeping with the times,
Yeah,
and their sense of duty hasn't waned, but the purpose behind it is skewed.
yeah, no,
Um,
they've just absolutely gone
yeah,
feral.
they're just fantastic. They're just a fantastic boss fight. Mechanically, they represent the lore perfectly.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, we're not making any hot takes here by saying that
no,
Farron keeps a bit doggy doo doo,
yeah, no,
but
I think that's like cold
yeah.
porridge take that Fahrenkeep isn't
Oh,
good, but these guys, I'm honestly thinking S. I think the fight's that good.
if it wasn't for the fact, if I would put them in S, if it wasn't for the DLC bosses, and I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I don't know if I would put Abyss Watchers in the same league as some of the best bosses from the DLC.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think comparatively, but I'm wholeheartedly agree with you that they are probably one of my favorite bosses in the base game.
yeah, I think the fight is an S tier fight, but Fahrenkeep holds it back a little bit, and compared to
Yeah,
some of the DLC bosses, so we'll put him in A for now, but we can
A for Abyss Watchers. Let's
yeah,
go.
exactly, but we can swap them around as we go. Also, I'm gonna introduce a new mechanic. We
Okay.
both get one instant S tier.
No, I'm going to
So like
abuse that. I'm gonna make someone hate my guts.
you have to be genuine. You can't just be like, ah, yeah.
Okay, okay,
Ceaseless
I will be.
Discharge was an S tier fight. You only get it for one boss, as you get it for one ticket, so it's gotta count.
All right, okay.
So next we got Aldridge, and Aldridge is a boss that I really like, except for the boss fight. I love everything else except the actual boss fight.
Mm, yeah, I think the lore enough on Aldrich is enough to kind of pull him up to at least like a B tier in my opinion. Just because I kind of like the whole like Dio Jojo kind of thing he's got going on, where he's just asking the question constantly: is it possible to be such a big piece of shit that you can attain godhood and superpowers? And apparently you can.
Yep. No, I think that's the whole. That's most of From Software's game catalog. You can attain
Yeah,
great power by being a big piece of shit.
yeah. Gwyn will reward you with big boy superpowers as long as you just
They'll reward you with
give it.
two Flintstone gummies.
Yeah, as long as you just deal enough death and suffering to humans.
Yeah.
And then he turned on his son. Oof.
Do you know what? I really like. I really hate Aldridge. It's one of my least favorite fights in the whole game, but I really
Yeah.
like his lore and story and the like added. I guess nostalgia's the only like really good term for it of like it being an Anno Londo and him like halfway through eating Gwendolyn and using quite a few of Priscilla's moves.
Yeah.
Uh,
He is basically a bit more of a. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, but you know, he's got the same fighting style as like Crystal Sage, who does not get a lot of love
no, he does.
in
He
this
does. They're
game.
both very spell heavy, but I don't mind
Yeah.
the Crystal Sage as much.
Mm,
But Aldridge, I just really don't like. I feel like I know he's a
yeah.
big ball of sludge, but he doesn't
Mhm.
move clearly for me, and I can't tell what he's doing until like as he's pulling
Yeah.
the move out, and I hate that.
Yeah.
So I'd personally say C, but if you want to argue B,
I think I would argue B just because I like the lore so much. But having said that, my hatred for enemies like Elden Beast,
yeah,
which function like they run away a lot
yeah. No, I
and
think
they don't get
Aldridge is
involved
very
in the fight.
similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if we're going on mechanics, and I think to be fair, I probably would because at the end of the day, my main focus of the game is the quality of the fight.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah,
the lore
I would
stuff is
agree.
important, but you know, if the fight's not
Yeah,
fun, then
yeah,
so yeah, he's going in C for now. Ancient
I'd agree with
Wyvern is weird because it's not really a fight. It's like a little obstacle course. It's like the McDonald's
yeah,
playpen.
yeah. I'd say for the pure novelty of it, it is memorable to be generous
Yeah,
to the ancient wyvern.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't
Um,
hate it. I think it is unique that like it's more about going through like it's kind of like Demon Soulsy in its design, where it's like one straight shot with like
yeah.
set obstacles. No, I
I
sort of
think
get it.
that's gonna have to be a D for dragon for me.
Oh, I think I agree. I think he is a D for the dragon.
He is a dragon.
Yeah, I think he's borderline
Thank you,
C.
ancient wyvern. You were a dragon.
Should we do Udex before Champion Gundyr?
I think we should.
Yeah, because you can't
Yeah.
really talk about Champion without talking about Udex. Um,
Mm.
I like him,
Mhm.
but I mentioned it in my video, but I feel like he's probably the weakest tutorial boss because if you know what he's like and if you're a returning player, you're not gonna have any issues with him. Whereas
Mhm.
I think if you're playing it for the first time, it can be really, really hard. Like, I remember my first time, I really struggled with Udex Gundyr, but I say that, but my girlfriend beat him first time and made me feel like a right dunce.
Yeah, she's a bit of a giga chad though.
Yeah,
We can't all attain that level of power so quickly.
do you know what, you're right. So I don't know where to put him, because I don't think he's a bad fight, but I think specifically as a tutorial, I personally am not a huge fan, but I know that's a very me thing.
I think Udex Gundyr is, or is it Udex?
I think it's
I think it's
Udex, how
Udex.
you say it,
Udex.
I think.
And I think he's a really good introduction boss fight. He encapsulates a lot of the themes of Dark Souls, like a knight fallen from grace, and someone that's like you. You don't know who he is when you first encounter him,
Yeah.
and during the second encounter, which we'll get to, his standpoint kind of changes, and he does this rare thing from a character point of view that FromSoft does on seldom few bosses, which is quite sad, where the encounters change how you view them
Yeah.
from just being a basic obstacle to an actual flesh and blood character. And in this case, it's almost sort of like a guide. It's a bad comparison because when you learn that his goal is essentially to be the player's obstacle. Yeah.
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 I never really thought about
I'd
it like that.
probably say C.
Say, honestly, I was thinking C, but you kind of talked me into a B.
Yeah, I think Udex is kind of necessary to kind of. I think he purely exists to draw a comparison to Champion Gundyr.
Yeah, you know, I think you're right. You know what,
Yeah,
I'll put him in C, but I'm putting him ahead of Aldridge. I'm making that
yeah,
executive decision because Aldridge,
yeah.
is lucky he's not in D. Mr.
D
Should
for
we
dick bag.
exactly? Should we do Champion Gundyr, or should we do another boss for like one or two things?
Yeah, we can do some early game
Yeah.
bosses if you want to keep, because I think if you're progressing through the video, we might kind of save some of the good bosses for last. You know, some of those
Yeah.
top shelf
boss.
bosses. That
You know
premium whiskey type boss.
I think you're right. Let's do the Crystal Sage.
Yeah.
This is a boss I don't really have much to say about. Like, it's fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't think Crystal Sage is like very popular from what I've seen, but like I don't really dislike it. Like it's fine. It's a decent magic boss. Like it's not way too annoying where like it's just not fun to fight at all, but it doesn't really have anything that makes it its own, stands. I mean, I guess its magic's purple instead of blue, I think.
Yeah.
That's about all I can think of.
It's similar in color to Aldrich's magic, which is like deep magic.
Yeah.
So it does tie the Crystal Sage into kind of the lore and the background of the deep. I think his background is basically he's just one of Aldrich's servants or warriors. Yeah.
Oh, that would make sense, 'cause it is before the Deacons, and think about that.
He's kind of guarding that area which Aldrich has kind of indoctrinated himself into being the leader of. I don't know if I would put Crystal Sage. I don't know if I would feel right putting Crystal Sage above Udex or Aldrich even, but
I would definitely be fine putting it above Aldrich, but again, I know
Yeah.
that's a very me thing. I agree that it's in C. I don't think it's better than Gundyr, but do you think Aldrich is?
I'd be fine putting him above Aldrich. I'd be fine putting him above Aldrich. I have no love for Aldrich.
That's fair. Aldrich definitely beats it in like lore and like interesting like backstory, but I think the fight is just a lot more enjoyable. Tree Balls is next.
I'm not gonna lie. When I think Dark Souls 3, I think Tree with nuts, dog.
Do you know what? I'm kind of genuinely like, yeah, like this guy has so many of the fabled funny points.
He does have funny points. He's just very memorable for in my mind for a boss that he is. He's very unique in design.
Oh yeah.
And even like having the destructible map, he stands out. Maybe not for all the right reasons, but
I still like him.
Yeah,
like,
but having said that,
you know, it's hit 3 clumps of balls, but you know what? They're memorable clumps of balls.
Yeah, knocking some nuts about.
Taking. I couldn't, in good faith, put him in D personally because he's got too many funny points.
Yeah, he does got the funny points. He opens up my mind to CBT.
Yeah,
you know, he's a great CBT enjoyer.
I'm thinking
pioneer of the art.
I'm thinking the bottom of. Although I want to say D for D's nuts, I'm thinking realistically the bottom of C is probably good for. Because now we've got the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. I really like the Dancer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How could you not?
I know. I just think, especially as like, although it's still like a one-on-one fight, for like a one-on-one fight for a thing with a sword, it's super unique.
Yeah.
Especially in, like the way it moves. And the fact that you actually see it like before the actual fight in the Irithyll, the Boreal Valley with the ghosts.
Yeah.
Like you see it in Vort's like real form, like walking off.
I think it's a big testament to how popular the Dancer and Vort are, being very closely tied to Pontiff Sulyvahn.
Yeah,
the lore implications of all of them. The very tragic characters, Vort and the Dancer. I like their story. I love the Dancer's fight. I love the theme of it when it's coming in. The very mellow music. It's beautiful. And the one thing as well, I like the I like the shift of expectation. You see this creature that's really creepy, and it doesn't quite move right. It moves really slowly and precisely, like a ballerina. It drops in really slowly, like a pensioner in the Tesco self checkout aisle. It just doesn't seem to move.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, its swords come out, and it doesn't move any quicker. It's all of its attacks flow into one like a
Yeah.
dance. All of the moves are really showy and very theatrical, but they're very fluent, and they can still catch you off guard, even though you can see them coming a mile off. I really like the dancer mechanically and the
Yeah.
lore and the theme and everything. So it's at least A tier,
Oh yeah,
potentially S.
I'd agree. I'd say A, honestly. I think my favorite thing about the dancer is actually the sound design. Like just the
Mhm.
sound of it walking around these like weird, like really loud yet really like understated, like hollow footsteps. I think it's really cool. Adds like the creepiness factor. Uh,
Yeah.
I'd say it's an A personally. I think it's got a little bit less health than I'd like for it to be an A. Like I don't want it to be really
Mhm.
tanky, but I feel like you can kill it like too quickly. I
It's
just find it
crazy tanky if you
enjoyable.
fight it early on, but
Oh
I do
yeah,
get what you mean. For how late you can fight it as well, it can feel a little weak. Yeah,
yeah. I'm
yeah,
I'm thinking A personally below the Abyss Watchers.
I agree.
Yours?
I agree.
Deacons of the Deep is next. This is also a gimmick fight. But it's a gimmick I really like. Like, who doesn't like beating the shit out of a bunch of old men in a room?
Yeah, religious old men as well. At that,
Exactly. You know what? It's even
it's
better.
it's got that additional good boy points for
Ex
for being a good secular boy on your playthrough.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I know these guys aren't popular, but personally, I'm a really big fan. It just feels very Dynasty Warriors, which is a nice shake-up. Like, it's just a
yeah.
bunch of guys in a room that takes like 2 to 3 hits to die. Go ham.
You can just feel so powerful going through it.
Yeah.
Put on Gwyn's theme, crank it to 10, and then just go ham at a whole shopping mall full of people that just can't defend themselves.
The Tesco's self-serve checkout is gonna kill survivors.
You're meeting a mob of school kids at the Tesco car park, but you brought a baseball bat with you.
I love these guys. Personally,
Yeah.
I'm thinking B for them, but I know that might be a little bit high, but I personally just really like them.
I don't have too much of an opinion of them, but I will say I really love the cathedral. I
Oh
love
yeah,
the cathedral area. It's
it's a
fantastic.
it's a great
Yeah.
level. You got
Yeah.
patches there. You got the slug woman. I'm forgetting her name. Rosaria, that's her name.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Slug mummy.
Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
giants. We got the Dragon Slayer armor now. Uh,
Okay.
It's kind of like Deacons of the Deep, where I don't have a ton to say on it. I just think it's a good fight. I think it's a lot more of a better fight mechanically than the Deacons, obviously. It's
Yeah.
just like a one-on-one with a traditional knight kind of thing. Although it's cool that it's being piloted by those stick insects in the sky,
Yeah.
essentially.
The guy is a bit like trad knight, shield pilled,
Yeah.
kind of a big stonky boy. I really like him though. I really like his aggressive moveset.
Oh yeah.
I like his. I kind of like the fact that he's basically just a suit of armor that's being controlled by like a set of flying nervous systems in the
Yeah,
air.
and there's just no way of interacting with it. It's just they've got the
Yeah.
armor, and then once you be like, oh okay,
It kind of feels like a test, which is
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's like they're kind of watching you
Yeah,
to kind of like assess you.
We'll
Yeah.
see about that fella.
Yeah, yeah. I really like him. I definitely want him above Deacons.
Yeah, I'm honestly
Um,
thinking B or A, honestly.
I would probably go with bottom of A tier
Yeah,
personally.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. We'll save Lorien and the Nameless King for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm gonna say? You know what? I'm gonna go with another early game guy.
Mhm.
Vought. I know we talked a little bit about him earlier. Um, I like him as an early game fight a lot. I like he's got a real big bum you have to hit. You know.
Yeah. Mhm.
He introduced
Oh,
to
he
like the
he do got
frost
that cake.
mechanic. He does got that dumpy.
Yeah. Frost has got a really like prevalent role in this game,
Oh yeah.
surprisingly. Obviously it's tied to Vault.
I think this is the first game Frost was in, so they probably wanted to be like, this is the new mechanic. So,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
works best early game because obviously you don't have a lot of stamina, and that's the main
Mhm.
thing it affects.
I don't get the love for Vought. I don't think he's a bad boss by any means, but I don't get why everyone seems to love him. I would definitely put him above Deacons of the Deep. I'd probably put him high B.
Yeah, I'm thinking B, honestly. He's got a
Yeah.
banger of a theme, though, you gotta admit that, especially when he goes
Oh,
in the
he
second
does. Yeah.
phase. Goes on. We might as well finish off the early game with High Lord Wolnir. For me, also a boss that gets quite by on funny points. He's the
He
skeleton
does.
that likes his flame.
He is. Yeah, he is a. He is a bit of a jacked up skeleton. You know,
Yeah,
he got his bling. He's got a. He's basically Mr. T's skeleton
yeah.
with a love of fine jewelry.
Probably put him in C. Probably above Curse Rotted Greatwood, but not above Aldridge, personally.
I think we need to set a precedent here. If we're not going to put Wolnir in D, what can we put in D? I have strong opinions about Wolnir.
What's your strong opinions about?
Mechanically, I think he's just real boring to fight. I would like him a lot more if he didn't have the mist behind you. That
Oh, I forgot about the mist.
yeah, so the restrictive movement. You can only attack him for. I mean, if you're taking it steady, you can only fight him for probably around 20 to 10% of the actual boss fight. The rest of it's just moving back until you push into a corner, and then you kind of just overcome at that point. But at the same time, it's really easy to cheese.
Yeah.
I'm just really not impressed with him.
Do you know, I forgot about the Abyss Mist, even though that's like
Yeah.
a big part of it, because he's got his bling on, because he's scared of the dark. He's literally just like, I need my nightlight, ma'am. Don't turn
Yeah.
off the nightlight. Do you know what? Yeah, that Abyss mechanic is really, really goddamn annoying. I
Yeah.
like him more than Ancient Wyvern personally, but
Oh yeah.
that is absolutely funny point. So at top of D, I'd be happy with.
This is the fading fire. Funny can only get you so far.
You
I'm
know what?
afraid.
You're right.
You're out of here,
Get
High Lord
outta
Wolnir.
here.
You're out of here.
We're now done with the early game bosses. Who should we do next? Should we go back
I
to
think
champion?
next one would probably be Pontiff.
Pontiff. Oh yeah, I
Right?
forgot about Pontiff.
Yeah.
I really like Pontiff. He's cool. He's a right bastard. I know he was going to be the main villain of Dark Souls 3 at some point because he does set a lot of the events of it in motion. Like, he's not the leader of the deep, obviously that's Aldridge, but like since he's a ball of sludge, he orchestrates a lot of it behind the scenes. He's the reason why like Gwendolyn got shafted out of being in charge of Anor Londo.
Mhm.
This guy causes a lot of issues.
Yeah. He has ties to the painted world.
Yeah, because he's a treeman.
Yeah, he's a tree that was made a real boy by a wish upon a star.
Yeah, and then he was like, wait, this is for people who are depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm just nasty.
Yeah, I never lost nothing. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just try and take as much stuff as I can, and he
Exactly.
doesn't take no shit from
He
nobody.
doesn't take no for an answer.
what a true champion of the Chads.
His fight's cool. He's got a stand, so he's got instant like points from me. But
Yeah.
I like that actually does serve a purpose where it shows what move he's gonna do just before he does it, and like you've got the option of like, oh, I want to learn this move set, so I'll keep the like spirit out, or like, you know, no, I just want to deal with him. I'll just kill it because it doesn't have a lot of health. So
Yeah.
I think
The
that's
spirit
really
also
clever.
deals damage though. a lot of people say that it makes the fight easier, but that's probably for idiots that are like really competent at parrying, unlike me.
You
So
know
I
what, I
actually
didn't.
quite struggle with him. I quite struggle with his second half.
No, I think it definitely is harder. Like, don't get me wrong, but like,
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh
good
yeah.
that you do actually get something out of it. It's not just there for the sake of like it being a harder fight. Like, there is actually a purpose that like you
Yeah.
can learn the moveset a lot quicker.
Yeah. I I think a lot of people don't like him just because he's very easy to parry. Apparently, I wouldn't know because I suck
I
at
find
parrying.
him really hard to parry himself though. I'm thinking personally top of B, bottom of A, but if you have another,
Oh, bottom of there. He's at least got a break 80. I really like him. I really like him. He's cool.
yeah,
You know,
you know
he
what?
got
Yeah,
that. He got that cool dual swords
you're right. I didn't consider that
vibe
he's got the
going
dual
on.
lightsabers.
He swords akimbo,
Yeah.
starring Daniel Radcliffe. What a
Act-
king!
Actually, I'm putting him in the bottom of D because I want a figure of him, but it's like £5,000, so it's not
You
fair.
know what? Put it in D, and you know what? FromSoft, we're gonna keep Pontiff Sullivan there until you make an affordable
Yeah,
figure of him. Pontiff Sullivan is now in D jail
d-
for his crimes against Joe's wallet.
yeah, exactly. He deserves to be affordable from me.
Yeah.
Who should we go with next? I'm thinking the old Demon King or Yom the Giant or Champion Gundyr, if you've got one.
Oh, I think the audience deserves a bit of a treat. You know, they've had the vegetables. They deserve a little bit of a treat. Let's do Champion Gundy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hmm.
It's just a really good fight. Like,
Yeah, he's
it's
awesome.
like I like that you've got like if you remember from the start of the game, like you've still got like that little bit of an idea of how it's gonna go. Like it's literally the same guy, and then he's like, actually, I am going to kick you off a cliff.
Yeah, he does the Jotaro Kujo. I am going to beat you to death.
Yeah, he really does.
He really does. He's kind of a diet Elden Ring boss. Thinking
Yeah,
about it, I had great difficulty with him. He chains really well, to the point where it almost seems like he chain breaks to like kind of catch you off into an attack.
yeah, like he's
Um,
like a little bit. You know, I agree with that, but I think there's another boss that I won't say yet that
mm.
has a real issue with that. That I've got a real bone to pick, but that's like
Okay,
that comes
nothing
later.
immediately is coming to mind, so I'm interested to see which one you think about. I think he's at the very least a shoe in for A. I
Yeah.
would personally put him above Dragon Slayer armor.
Yeah, I was thinking literally the exact same thing because I think
Yeah.
Dancer has a really cool, interesting fight, but just a little bit of extra background stuff to make it just a little bit more interesting. I really like Gundy though. I like the whole concept of he was like you, but he was literally just too late to answer the call. And now he
Yeah.
can't really do anything except test people to see if they're worthy. I know that's obviously the thing with Udex, but you really feel like it's quite sad because he's a really he's a competent fighter, obviously, and like the missed
Oh yeah.
potential of like what he could have been.
He's a crazy good fighter, and he's such a good boss battle.
Yeah,
And I couldn't think of anyone better to hide the secret ending of the game
yeah,
behind, or essentially the true ending of the game behind.
yeah,
Um, he's crazy strong, but it's the reward is really worth it.
yeah. He's
Um,
like in a
yeah.
meta sense, God in the lore.
Also, mega relatable boss because he woke up late. He hit snooze on his alarm one too many times, and he turned up after the
It's just
party had
nuts.
ended.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like the ass catcher with Dark Souls.
Oh, definitely.
Woke up late and he couldn't get any Pokemon.
Couldn't get the Pokemon. Firekeeper was dead. Pikachu hates his guts.
Again, it's not really this isn't a boss I really hear anything about one way or the other, but I think he's fine. Like, I really
Yeah.
like the whole thing of Dark Souls 3. Obviously, the whole thing of Dark Souls 3 is, like, everything's, like, coming to an end, but, like, it's most obvious with, like, just the representation of demons. Like,
Mhm.
there is barely anything, and the old Demon King, obviously excluding the the Prince and below, but they weren't in the base game. So I'm kind of just looking at him in a vacuum. Like, this is like the biggest thing that Demonkind has to offer. Like, guy who like tries his best, but about like a quarter of the way, 3/4 of the way through,
Mhm.
he just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I really like the setting for this boss.
Yeah,
I don't really think much of the fight. I don't feel like old Demon King should have been a boss fight. I feel like it maybe should have been like
like a
like
unique
a
encounter.
like maybe a unique encounter like the worm in the smoldering lake. But at the same time, I still like him. I like I do like when you get him down to low HP. He kind of like slinks away
Yeah, like
and
that's and I think that's a really cool subversion of bosses in Dark Souls 3 specifically, because like
yeah.
a lot of them, you get them to half health or you get rid of the first health bar and they get stronger. This guy gets weaker, and I just think
Yeah.
for a one-off like thing, that's really unique and really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that it gives him a bit of humanity. It gives him more humanity than some of the human characters in the game,
Oh yeah.
and it kind of makes you a little sympathetic for the demons.
Honestly, yeah, Dark Souls 3 really is like the demons kind of had a bad even in the like I can't remember what it's called, but basically Izalith inside of the smoldering lake, like you see the like remains of the Fair Lady and Quailana,
Mhm. Yeah. Oh
like and
God.
all the
Yeah.
like Taurus demons and Capra demons inside. So like it may have been an absolute bastard in Dark Souls 1 Capra demon, but you know what? Didn't deserve this.
He was a real one. He was a good dog owner.
Yeah.
Didn't deserve this.
Just having
Bring
them
him
out for a
back.
walk in their garden and you came in.
Yeah. It just going into his council house back garden where he's
Yeah.
keeping his two pit bulls that just want to play with you.
Loves his wife, loves his dogs, loves his country, enough said.
I I hate young old enough said.
I don't hate him, I just
Not
don't trust him.
not racist, just don't like him.
The Capra demon definitely is the gammon of Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. He's a bit of a gammon, but we love him nonetheless.
We do, but this is about old Demon King. Where are we gonna put him? I personally
I'd put
think,
him just under Deacons.
yeah, I was thinking bottom of B.
Oh yeah.
We should I'm thinking we should do Osiris or Yom the Giant. What are you thinking?
Oh, oof. I think Yom the Giant.
Yom.
It's time to bring up the giant in the room.
He is so big he crashed through the roof of the room.
You know what? Yom's only crime was having a big heart at
Yeah.
which he cared too much.
Yeah, literally. He's like, hey guys, I know my dad was not nice,
Mm.
but you guys want me to be a ruler because I'm strong. Here I am. If I get out of hand, here's this thing to kill me real easy, and he's
Yeah.
still got shit for it.
Yeah, he's a real one.
Man literally couldn't do anything without getting shit for it. Bless him.
Oh, this top heavy man he just wanted to be bonked by his closest friend.
Yeah.
It's impossible to talk about Yom without talking about
Sigma.
exactly the
Yeah.
biggest Chad in the entire series. In the entire series.
Yeah, like bar none. Like
Um,
if
yeah.
Sigma is your best friend, you got to be doing something right.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a cool guy. I'd probably put him just for the fact that he's best friends with Vought. Put him top of B. Best friends
Sigma.
with Vought. Yeah, could you imagine? Vaught's his dog.
Besties,
Yeah, lets him sit next to us. Yeah,
Yeah.
pets his little head.
Oh.
Because he's best friends with Sigma. Put him top of B.
I
for me.
agree. It's not really a fight you can talk too much about. I like that obviously it's a Demon Souls callback with the Storm Ruler. Yeah, he's just a good guy that was dealt a real bad hand. But it's a
That's all
good
there is to
spectacle
it.
fight as well. But I think all
Yeah.
the Storm Ruler ones tend to be really good spectacle fight. Who's next? I think Osiris
I like
is
Osiris.
next. And you know what? I'm gonna use my S tier thing. I'm gonna use my S tier card for
I think I know
Osiris.
why you did that.
That's
I
why
get major Bloodborne vibes from him,
he's my favorite boss in Dark Souls 3. The whole thing,
including DLC.
including DLC, is my favorite boss.
Interesting.
I love
Interesting.
Osiris. I think he is so interesting and so unique compared to all the other fights, in the sense
Mhm.
that like there is real build-up and story behind him, because you've got the Irithyll dungeon, you've got the
Yeah.
horrible like people attached to the walls, and you're like, oh shit, what's that all about? And it's like, oh, these are failed attempts to like make people into dragons. Like, who better to test that on than like prisoners before the king? And then you've got like a tucked away. Obviously, the princes are through the story throughout. That's your whole goal. Like, I've got to get to the princes. I've got to get to the princes. That's like, what happened to the king? And he's just in this tucked off, horrible little hovel in the world that's completely optional. And and like the Abyss Watchers, he's just fucking feral. I love the fact that you don't know if he's like, oh yeah, I'm here to protect. I'm like tucking myself away intentionally to protect Ocelot, because like he is a true dragon and like he can turn invisible, or he's a true like human dragon, like crossbreed like Priscilla, or if
Mhm.
he's just absolutely like way too far gone and he's just cradling nothing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That
It's really cool. He's definitely very vocal. I tell you what, we gave we gave Udex Gundyr a bit of leeway for being a big character.
yeah.
I think I'm softening towards him. Um, I really liked Bloodborne, and I get major Bloodborne vibes from him. Just um, the physical transformation that he
Yeah.
goes through. He's got real weight and story behind him. He's got stakes. I really, you know what, you've convinced me. He
I've
is cool.
converted you
He is
to
cool.
the
I'm
Osiris fan club.
I'm a certified Osiris head now.
Hell
Um,
yeah. No, he is very Bloodborne in the sense of like he was someone who really just coveted one specific thing so badly, or believed in one specific thing so badly, that it like transformed him beyond repair.
yeah.
And it helps that the fight's like decent. I don't think like in terms of a fight it's the best one, but because I think it's just a good fight, like not counting the lore or anything, I'd personally probably put him in like A. But everything else added on top of that, I just found him to be like my favorite boss. Like
All right.
I love Osiris so much.
I like him. I don't know if I love him as much as you do, but
I know that's a very me thing. He's just a character I'm
yeah.
kind of hyper fixated on when I
I'm
first played him.
surprised. I am surprised by that veto. I'm surprised that is not the one that I expected at all.
Who did you think I was gonna
I'm not.
veto?
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that you were gonna veto Sister Freed, but I think she's gonna end up at the top anyway.
I do like Sister Freed, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, the DLC bridge.
Oh my.
I think before the princes we should probably do the Nameless King, since
Okay.
he's not like a story boss and he's optional.
Yeah.
Not a controversial opinion. I really like the Nameless King. I love that
I
we
love the
finally
Nameless
get
King
to
too.
see who Gwyn's firstborn is
Mhm.
and why he was
Yeah.
exiled. Because I don't think it specifically says that like he decided to like be with the dragons. I think it just said like for some foolish sin he was exiled or something. But like the
Mhm.
fact he was like, actually no, these guys my dad was trying to kill, they're pretty cool guys.
Yeah. This guy is pretty much. If Pontiff Sullivan starts off the beginning of the end, the Nameless King started out the beginning of the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really sets in motion. A lot of the events from Dark Souls, where like him siding with the dragons, and I have a headcanon where this decision really messed with Gwyn, really put him in like a paranoid state where
Yeah.
he maybe that maybe this action led to him sacrificing himself, or was a big factor in him sacrificing himself to the first flame.
Yeah, because
Um,
as far as I know, Gwyn definitely was like still around. He hadn't gone yet when the Nameless King was exiled. But I
Yeah.
don't think either he knew Gwendolyn was around or like Gwendolyn was like born at this time yet. Because Gwendolyn's one of the youngest, if I remember right. I think he's the second youngest.
mhm,
So it would really mess with him, like his only sons, like actually
yeah.
no, these guys that you've been trying to kill and like made a whole
And by
fuss
all
over.
accounts, is
I like
is
him
his
golden.
favorite as well.
Yeah, he would be, because
Mm,
he did fight
Yeah,
with him. I know that. Like, he did fight with Gwyn,
yeah,
like, to kill the dragon, so there
mhm,
really would have been, like,
mhm,
a bond there.
yeah. I think the Nameless King's actions may have set in motion some of Gwyn's paranoia around others leaving him, other people usurping the flame,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of the past of Dark Souls is very murky, but I choose to believe that the Nameless King is one of the most consequential characters aside from Gwyn himself.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that he's not talked about as much, but I think a lot of the intrigue comes from how mysterious he is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like
Um,
if they gave too much away, I think they just
mm,
gave the perfect amount away just by telling you
yeah,
this is him. Like, I think that's
yeah,
really all you need to
yeah.
know. And it
Mhm.
helps that the fight is really, really good as well, and kind of
Oh yeah.
subverts expectations in a way, because he starts off on the big dragon, the King of the Storm, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm fighting this dude and this big dragon at the same time. And then
Yeah.
when you beat the dragon, you think, oh, okay, right, that's gonna either it be over or it's not gonna be as bad. But it's like, no, I always found him on his own was way harder than the King of the Storm fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The King of the Storm is very manageable. You spend most of your time just fighting the camera,
Yeah,
and then that obstacle's removed, and the Nameless King just comes in and he just
absolutely messes you up.
horror lose you into next week.
He does. I feel like he's really one of the starts of like the modern kind of template for like
Mm,
fast FromSoft bosses. I feel like in terms of difficulty, like Fume Knight was probably from Dark Souls 2 was probably like a big difficulty one, like in the
mhm.
like templates. But I think you can see a lot of like boss DNA from stuff from like Elden Ring and even a little bit of Sekiro on the Nameless King, personally.
Yeah, we yeah, we agree a lot on that. And I think the Nameless King is probably one of the best bosses in the game.
Yeah.
With with the exception, maybe one of the best bosses in the game outside of DLC. I have a lot of love for the DLC bosses.
Yeah, even DLC, I like it more than a couple of the DLC bosses, personally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Uh,
I would put him above Osiris, but if he's going into A tier, I might have to veto him. I might
hon
have to veto him into S.
honestly, I'm very happy with him being an S.
I'll save my veto for a if it, in case anything unexpected comes up.
Do you know what? That's fine. We'll put him in S for now, and
I'm
we
happy
can
with
always
him being in S.
we can always
Yeah,
reorganize anything after that is fine. So next would be Lorien and Lothric, and
and
I
now that you've said it, I'm guessing this is the boss where you were talking about combo canceling.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was one of actually. I was thinking of one of two. This one to a
Mhm.
lesser extent, I don't mind as much. Because I think the whole thing of him teleporting around, obviously he can only either crawl a little bit here or have his brother teleport him around the place. But at the
Yeah.
same time, that makes the issue of where it's hard to tell what moves he's gonna do because it's only in his like arms really.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
like the different movements. But I feel like his damage isn't so bad where like it becomes like distracting and takes away from the fight personally. Like I don't
Yeah.
mind it as much.
If you fought him a couple of times,
You can get it down.
he's very manageable.
Yeah.
The main difficulty does come from the teleporting.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I like. I don't think it's. I don't. He's not a particularly fast enemy that teleports around. He's not really unfair or
No,
unmanageable.
I don't think he's unfair. I think he's just difficult, which is
Yeah.
fine because it's one of the last bosses that you fight and
Yeah.
like that's required. So I think that's completely fair.
He's really cool.
Yeah, I like
Either
him a
top
lot.
of B, or bottom of A.
I'd say bottom of A. Personally, I think top of B is not giving them enough credit. I think they are really good. I think they set the stage really well. They're one of the few bosses where you get like a cutscene where they actually interact with you, and they kind of set the stage for the Demon Princes as well in a little way. I like the
True.
parallels between the Demon Princes and these two. I think that's quite
Yeah.
interesting themselves. I'd
It's
say,
in honor of them. Should we maybe do the Demon Princes next?
do you know what? Go on. Let's do the Demon Princes next.
Mm.
I really like the Demon Princes for the most part. I really only have one complaint, and that's I really like the mechanic where like one is super aggressive and one backs off and will just like do mainly like status things and projectiles. But there's a good chance that they'll both be in super aggressive mode, and that is borderline like impossible to manage for me.
Mhm.
Like I find that really hard to manage. Like when the AI's like for some reason it's like no, both of them are going to be difficult, right? Like aggressive right now.
Yeah, it is weird that is possible.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of makes the fight really interesting because you're always on the edge of your seat.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like
Yeah.
I think even
I thought
without
I
that,
thought it
they
was just a
don't give
mechanic. I thought it was just a mechanic that like there was just like a 10% chance or a 5% chance that they just go absolutely berserk.
It might be, but as far as I know, I think it is like an AI error. I think the intention is one is super aggressive, one backs off and does status things or projectiles, and they'll like swap between at like certain
Yeah.
intervals. I like that you do have to kill both of them. Like you can't kind of cheese it like you can with Ornstein and Smo, where like you can just focus on Smo because he's big and doesn't really move as much. I like that you are actually forced to deal with both of them. And then
Yeah.
you get the Demon Prince, which is I love that like its moveset is substantially different depending on which one is killed first. Or
Yeah.
is it which one's killed first or killed last? I can't remember.
It's which one's killed first. I think it uses Ornstein and Smo rules.
Right, that would make a lot of sense. I do really like that I think the movesets are just entire. I think they do have a couple of like attacks that they shared, but most of it is completely unique to each one. So
Yeah,
it
they're
does really
very
feel like-
complementary to one another.
Oh, yeah, they're
Um,
super complementary, and like one fight with them is never exactly the same.
Yeah, they always keep you on their toes, and even if they're not both hyper aggressive at the same time, they're always still keeping you busy. They're always pulling your attention in two directions, unless you're very good at your spacing.
Exactly. They're always,
And
like,
it's a big test of not just you how twitchy you are. It's
Yeah,
also
no.
a good test of how well you can manage your space and your directions and how aware you are of your spaces with the obstacles in the room as well, like those small ruins and everything. A lot of people don't talk about them, but if you're constantly backing away, there's a good chance you're going to run into one of them at some point, which
Yeah.
means you need to have your head on a swivel a lot of the time.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
do like you can use the environment a little bit. You can use some of the rooms that are kind of like in the back middle-ish of the area, and you can get like a quick heal or something. Like they're not
Yeah.
super reliable, like the Ornstein and Smo pillars that everyone loves, myself included.
Yeah.
But I
The
do
Ornstein
like that
Small
you've got-
Pillars are like the best summon in the entire game of Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, honestly, maybe a little bit too OP, but I love that. I don't care. But I do
From
like
soft,
you've got
please
at least,
nerf.
please fix, please nerf, please give me one to carry around.
Yeah.
But no, I like that you've got a little something where you can get like a quick thing, and or even when they're like shifting from one to the other of being aggressive, you've got an opening for like a quick heal or two, or a quick like, because I know they can poison you, a quick fix of poison. So like it's not super like overly demanding, like to the point where it's like unreasonable, but like it does demand a lot out of you. But I think in this case that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where I'd say top of A or bottom of S for them. I really like them.
Really, you're going to put them that high?
I like them. What are
Right.
you thinking?
I would probably put them. This is just me. I don't really have a huge amount of love for Lothric and Lorien.
Yeah.
I do think they're cool. Um, I like the Demon Prince fight more than Lothric and Lorien. I'd probably put them below Dancer, maybe even below Champion. I would probably put them between Dragon Slayer and Dragon Slayer armor and Champion Gundyr. But we can split the difference if you want.
Yeah, sure. So where would there be if they split the difference between Dancer and Champion?
I'm happy there. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
put them there.
I'm happy with that.
Should we save Soul of Cinder till later? Because
Yeah.
he's the last
Yeah.
boss of the. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We have a lot to say about Solar Cinder.
that, you know what? Yeah, we probably. So the first one we'd fight would be the wolves, and the
I don't know if
guy-
there's an F tier.
I don't. I don't think that FT. I don't think it's a bad, like a mechanically bad fight. It's just
Mhm.
so dull. It's just
Yeah.
a guy
Yeah.
and a big boy.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, if Capra Demon is going to catch shit for having 2 dogs, this boss should catch a little bit of shade for having like 4 dogs.
Oh, I forgot
the
it has the
start.
little wolves as well. But you know
Yeah.
what? I've always thought the Capra Demon himself is
Mhm.
quite fun. It's the dogs and the really enclosed space that ruin it. These
Yeah.
guys don't have the all on their own. They're that fun to fight. They're just there for me. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I definitely think they should be in D. That
Mhm.
is my scolding hot take. And
Oh yeah, I think they should be top of. No, certainly not top of D. I do like. I think we should put them below Walnir.
yeah, I was thinking in the
I think
middle, 'cause-
Walnir beats them based on funny points,
yeah, it's like
whereas Champion Grave Tender is just serious throughout,
although
and
I
it
like
has
when
no
the wolf
redeeming
does the
qualities.
I like that the wolf does the Sonic the Hedgehog boost, but
Oh, he does, yeah.
that is the only funny point he gets. Whereas Wolnir, he's a skeleton, he's got bling, he's afraid of the dark.
Yeah. Anyone that's watching and can make memes do an edit of that dog zooming forward, but put a Sonic a Sonic the Hedgehog light running song where he's collecting all the coins really fast.
Yeah, but like a fast Green Hill Zone on or something.
Woo! Feeling good! Yeah! Woo! Here we go!
So the second one where I have the combo breaking issue is none other than the Stomper Fiend herself, Sister
Mhm,
Frida.
mhm.
I feel like, and I said this in my video and I remember because I have a real bone with this bitch. She is like a bit too fast for Dark Souls 3's and she's like 10% too fast for Dark Souls 3's engine to really like for your character to really respond properly. Like this bitch is crazy.
She is
to me.
crazy.
She is like
But
phase
yeah.
1 is fine because you can backstab her and she doesn't have a lot of health at all, so I feel like it's traded off then. But phase 2 and 3, where you've got Father Ariandel to deal with and then revived Frida, that is when it's like, right, you're a bit much
Mhm,
for me.
I'm going to veto this one, and I'm going to say it has to go top of the pile. I love Sister Fried.
Are you putting her in S?
She's at least S. If there's not a double S or a triple S tier, I love Sister Fried. She's without a doubt my favorite boss.
What do you
in the
like
game.
so much about her and you can't say she's got a feet out?
Ah, damn. Well, okay, fine. Take away a features D tier. you caught me. No. I really like her speed and aggression. She's always a challenge when you come back to her. It's a battle of attrition. It's a twitch test. The second phase is a test of how well you can space yourself. The second part of the fight is such a really engaging, good fight. With the healing as well, it feels like a fair heal where there's a good trade-off.
Yeah, no, I do think phase 2 the heal's fair because obviously you've got. I think the fact they both share one health bar is a really good design choice, and that it's like a heal that like I think like a miracle build would do. I think it might literally be like the same thing where it is quite slow, so you can like knock her out of it, and obviously because Ariandel's easier to hit, you can like quickly get her once and then go back and like get more hits from him. So I do think the healing of it is completely fair.
Yeah, it's. I think Sister Fried's lore is really interesting as well. How
She
she's
does.
basically like the guardian of this painted world. It's really cool. I kind of like the background of Ariandel as well.
Oh yeah, like Ariandel's like visual design is lovely, and the
Yeah, he's
inside
cool.
of the church is really haunting as well. And the fact that you've got quite a cramped arena in the first phase, and then Ariandel like going mental and burning it all down
Yeah.
actually does open it up a lot more is really cool.
Yeah.
I really like it when bosses interact with the actual arena.
I mean, that's why I like Sister Fried so much. It feels like every stage, so all 3 stages put together, is just a very comprehensive skill check in every sense of the word.
That's
The
fair.
twitchiness, the being aware, DPS checks, stagger checks, the vigor checks. Even if you don't have like a certain amount of vigor,
Yeah,
you
you're still
can
gonna...
you're just going to get one shot in that
Yeah.
final phase.
Like, don't get me wrong,
it's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. She is a good... I'm not saying it's a bad fight at all. I would personally say, like, top of A at least. Maybe S if I was, like, persuaded to. I'd probably say top of A here for me personally, though. It's literally just the speed of her attacks,
Yeah.
and in Phase 3, the movement and the attacks that get me a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think she's a bad fight at all. She's really, really good. Obviously, in the Ariandel DLC specifically, she doesn't really have any competition in terms of boss fights, but I think in the DLC itself, she is a big standout as a really
There's
quality
only
boss.
one other boss that I think I would consider using the veto on, but I'm going to keep my veto on Sister Fried to keep her in S tier.
That's fair. You know what?
She got to be above the Nameless King at least.
We'll put her above the Nameless King. That's fine. You know what? I know Osiris is ahead of Sister Fried here because they're both vetoes. They're equal here.
They are equal.
They're hanging out side by side.
Equal
Osiris
and Jade pilled.
Yeah, Osiris.
And they both have feet.
They do both have stompers, and you know what? Ariandel's got stompers too. So
anyone who's watching this video on Joe's channel for the first time, please let this be an indication of the kind of content that is to come. Next tier list is going to be a feet tier list.
It's not. It's not. It might. I can guaranteed a lot of views. Is Half-Life's the next one you would fight?
She's cool and all.
Yeah, it's like fine. It's just another like. I do really like the summon battles, but obviously with the fact that it's gonna be either an NPC or an enemy player, like I guess enjoyability, for lack of a better term, of the fight is gonna be really, really skewed, depending on who you get. Like, I think the NPC Half-Life is fine. I like that he does have a couple of unique attacks to him. Like, I think he has a variation on some either spells or miracles in the game that are actually just unique to him, which I do like.
Yeah.
But, you know, with a summon battle, like, you can only really go so far with it. I think the old monk got a pass in Demon Souls for me, because obviously it was the first one, and, like, the first one of its kind. But obviously you got that, you got the Looking Glass Knight in Dark Souls 2. You know, it's the third time they've done this. And I don't think it's a bad mechanic, like I say, I like it. It's just, it doesn't have the freshness it did, you know?
This boss fight still feels like it's still engaging, even without having a human player on the other end, which is something that, like, the Looking Glass Knight didn't really have. Yeah. Very easy to cheese, very easy to kind of just DPS check. I've never played the old monk, but I still like this boss plenty fine. Yeah. I'd probably put her. I don't know if I'd put her above Udex.
Oh, you think it's? I was thinking like top of C, bottom of B, personally. Like.
Yeah, I'd say around that area. Bottom of B.
Bottom of B. Yeah, you know that's fair.
I can make peace with that.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, it's fine. It's just not like, you know, it doesn't have that oomph that the A and S's do, or even some of the ones that like higher B do. For me,
it kind of juxtaposes the importance of the setting that Ashes, sorry, not Ashes, the Ring City setting has. Kind of feels like a bit of a letdown when you get in there.
Yeah, like I
Um,
thought it was going to be something like related to the you know the bugs that talk to you. I thought it was
yeah.
going to be something related to them when I first
Oh,
played,
a
and then
bug boss would have been so cool.
yeah, like a talking bug boss that was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
the dark is great, it's this and this. But it
yeah,
was like a guy who's like, no, holy stuff is good, which makes sense because he's guarding Filianor. But
yeah,
at the same time, it would have been cool to have a guy who likes the dark, but is also like Filianor's kind of necessary.
yeah, yeah. It does feel weird that they are guarding one of the most like turn point characters
Yeah,
in the Ring City. It feels a little bit like a letdown, especially when you've got like other bosses
yeah,
like flying around there causing all sorts of mischief.
quite literally flying around there. Speaking of
Oh,
flying around
speaking
and
of
being a
which,
mischief maker, it's
oh my
Darky Medea.
goodness, oh my
Darky and
god, it's
Medea.
Darky Medea. Is he single?
I hope he is because he doesn't
Oh,
deserve a cool dragon GF, in my opinion. I do
I would
not
be
like.
Darky Medea's cool dark dragon GF.
Do you know what? He's a Darky Medea is a simp. Gwen said, "Go eat this dark," and he's like, "But it's bad for me." And he's like, "Do it anyway." It's like,
Mhm.
okay, what happened? You got brain rot.
Here's the thing: why would you put a dragon down for being loyal? He's basically a big dog.
Do you know what? There's being
He a
loyal and
big
there's being
flying dog.
stupid.
I love Darky Medea. He is without a doubt the coolest looking dragon.
He's not Black Dragon Calamite, is he?
All
The gold,
right,
the real
he's the
Dragon Chad.
he's the coolest aesthetically, and he's also just a big beefy boy. He's
I'll-
basically just a bear with wings.
I'll give you that.
He's
He
so
is
cool.
the best aesthetically. I really loved especially the like effects on his moves, especially like halfway through when he like powers up with like the dark surrounding him. And I know I like made fun of it before, but I do really like the concept of one of the ancient dragons be like, actually no, Gwen, I will help you. Like them deciding that for whatever reason they are the way to go, and then
Mhm.
it biting him in the ass and him becoming corrupted, but still kind of thinking to in his duty because he is still eating the dark and keeping
Yeah.
the dark that he's obviously inside of him.
Just to get on the aesthetic a bit more as well, isn't the effect on his scales like kind of like writhing and moving when you fight him as well? Like there's there's the undercurrent of
Yes,
corruption
yes,
in
he
him.
does.
I just love that effect on him.
That's good. I think it just gets
He
like
looks so
more
cool.
prominent
Yeah.
in his second phase. Like I think they turned the effects up a lot in his second phase. It's just
Yeah.
the actual fight. It's like Aldridge for me, where I really like everything about him. I love his design. I love his theme. I like the fact that you fight him a little bit before on the bridge before you actually fight him for real and it's tucked away. I'm just not a massive fan of the actual fight itself.
Oh, I think he's a Giga Chad. So this is where I should have used my veto because I think he deserves to be an S tier.
You think it's honestly,
Yeah, I really do. In my heart of hearts.
I would. I know it's a very it is a very like personal thing for me. I just personally don't really like the fight that much. I think he's fine. Like I don't dislike it, but for
Yeah.
like how talked up he is, I guess I'm as not as big of a fan of Madeira as other people are. I would personally probably put him like bottom of A, top of B, but I know that's a very me thing. I know that the fight is objectively very good. I'm just personally not a big fan.
Oh, we're going to come to blows here, Joe. Everyone
I'm
at
not
home,
actually
you're
gonna put him
witnessing
in-
the end of a friendship.
I'm not actually gonna put him in Biore because I know that it's a me thing. I know I just personally don't like him.
Everybody else loves him. Why
know
can't
what?
you just love him like we do, Joe?
I will come.
I'm not gonna bully you into it.
Don't side with me.
I think a compromise would be at the very least top of A tier.
Yeah, you know what? I'm fine with putting him at the bottom of S. Like,
Okay.
I'd be fine.
Okay.
'Cause
I think his law does kind of let him down a little bit.
I will say actually about Medea, I know I've just gave him a lot of shit. I think it is really the difference between fighting him on your own and fighting him co-op is staggering. Like when I was playing with Dylan, like to get footage for my Dark Souls 3 video, I think
Mhm.
we were fighting him for a good 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And getting nowhere. I fought him once on my own to try it out, beat him first time.
Yeah.
Like, he's a lot more manageable on your own. He was absolutely
Um,
designed to be the hardest of the Dark Souls bosses, and I think
Yeah.
he is personally. He is definitely my most difficult one.
I would agree. I would agree. Technically not as impressive, but I really like the arena.
Yeah.
I really think he just looks cool.
You know, there's a lot of things I like about him. There's some things I don't. You know, me and
Yeah.
Dark Game of Day, where it's complicated on Facebook. That's all.
It's
That's our
complicated.
relationship status.
Whereas I would only simp for Darky and Medea.
You'd be straight up married.
I'd be straight up in his DMs, left on red.
You gotta get off Medea now. It took too long about Medea. Should we do Gale or Soul of Cinder first? Actually, I feel like either more
Ooh,
appropriate.
I think Soul of Cinder we should do first because I think he is the end of like the continuation route,
Yeah.
whereas Gale is the end of the true route, we should say,
Yeah.
where the focus is taken away.
I see that. Like, I see them both as like goodbyes in like different ways. Like, I see Soul of Cinder. I think I said this in my video as well. I see Soul of Cinder as like a goodbye to the franchise in itself. I see like Gale as like a goodbye to the players.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think Gale is a hopeful tale for humanity.
I like Soul of Cinder. I don't think there is really a more appropriate final boss for the Dark Souls franchise, and I think he gets a lot of points for me just based on that alone. But he is probably the boss with the best like of its lore incorporated into the actual fight, since it is just a culmination of everyone who's ever linked the fire, and you've got that in like all the builds that it turns into.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's always got something to counter you with. He's always got something to keep you on your toes. Technically, he's a very impressive boss, and for how complicated he is, he's exceptionally well balanced.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you can't forget when you end that first phase, and it thingies Gwyn's piano in.
Pling, pling, plong.
Slams the sword into the ground, and that plays. And it's so cool that not only did they bring like Gwyn's moveset back, they also updated it where, like, you know, he's not parryable anymore. He can parry you now. He's got more attacks. So, like, it's not just it's just Gwyn again. Like, it is genuinely, like, updated and changed. It feels like it is, like, Gwyn's mad last attempt to keep his age alive.
Yeah, it is a very desperate, like, last thrash of an amalgamation of gods that stand before you, and it's really cool every single time. And it's always a challenge, and it always hits you right in the feels bone.
Yeah, like honestly, Soul of Cinder, like Dark Souls 2 didn't do a lot of things right, but one thing I wish that like the other games kind of carried on would be the bonfire aesthetic, so you could respawn bosses. Because I would just go back and fight the Soul of Cinder.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
Many times. I'd personally say bottom of S for me, but if you want to put him lower, I can see an argument for that.
The lowest I would put him would be top of A.
Top of A. Are you good with him being bottom of S?
I'm good with him being bottom of S.
I think that's where he belongs personally.
It's where you belong. He is a real one.
He is a real one.
I think because of the glowing review we've given him, I will even give him I'll even give him permission to go above Darkia.
What?
I'll allow it.
You know what? I'm gonna take that.
Also, Soul of Cinder's got he's got the Soul of Gwyn in him, which means he's got that racism energy.
Yeah.
Which is very powerful in Dark Souls, surprisingly.
Sees undead and he just sees red.
If you're undead, I'm seeing red. I want to give Gwyn a southern accent in a Confederate flag in his bedroom.
He's never had a voice, so for all we know, it could be from Alabama.
When they make the Dark Souls TV show on Amazon Prime, I guarantee they'll give it to Henry Cavill. Probably.
Henry Cavill Gwyn.
Yeah.
I think Henry Cavill would be a good nameless king, personally.
Oh.
I think they should put
He's so good with animals.
Who's a celebrity that does a good southern accent?
Ooh. Oh well, I'm thinking of one, but I definitely don't want him in. Oh, you know who? For Gwyn specifically.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm completely blanking on the name. I think it's just because my brain scrubbed him from the annals of history. The guy from House of Cards.
I haven't seen House of Cards.
Oh God. We'll have to get off this, or else I'm gonna take up the next 5 minutes trying to think of the guy's name.
We'll have a Dark Souls live action cast tangent.
After the video, we'll put in a section after where I scream his name from the top of my lungs.
So we've got the last boss here, Slave Knight Gale. Like the Soul of Cinder, Gale is absolutely amazing as a final boss. I love that you although you don't interact with him a ton, you still do get to know him quite a bit through his niece. I think because she calls him Uncle Gale. And you do get to interact with him a little bit, both directly and indirectly. Like obviously you can fight with him with Frida, so if you summoned him, you'll have naturally built up that oh, Gale's my guy, he's my buddy, we're in this together. And the mechanic where you can land through large distances in the Soot in the Ring City, the Phantoms are Gale, and the messages being leave it's fine to fall, you won't die, that's Gale. I think it's really important that he's been pushing you throughout the Ring City to finish it. And I did not expect him to be the final boss personally when I first played. I thought he was just going to be a helpful NPC.
Yeah, they don't really do that thing a lot where interactable NPCs and people that actually interact with your character tend to be really pivotal characters. I'm glad they did it in this one because it really accentuates Gale's humanity.
Yeah.
That he's not a racist, unlike a certain someone.
He just really wants his niece to make a nice painting.
Yeah, and he respects you enough to bring you along. He feels like an equal.
Yeah.
It feels like a friend that has turned against you, not someone that's had it out from you from the start.
Yeah.
It's not as simple fighting Gale as it is Soul of Cinder or fighting Gwyn.
No,
there's a lot of emotional weight behind Slave Knight Gale's fight.
I completely agree. A big important thing of it, for me, like I said before, with it interacting with them before, I feel like you get just enough, not too much and not too little. But the fact that it's pretty very heavily implied through, I think, the Dark Soul description that you get once you beat him. It's he knew he wasn't gonna make it back, so he really sent you on right, I know I'm probably not gonna do it, so if I don't make it back, I'm trusting you.
Yeah. I personally didn't read into it like that. I read into it he knew from the start. He seems like a very calculated fella. And I think he knew what he was going to find when he went there.
Yeah.
And he wanted to invite you along because maybe he knew that he would lose his mind, but he wanted you to be there just so he could collect as much power, and who has a larger Dark Soul than the protagonist of the game.
Yeah.
I think he may have lost his mind, but I still think that perhaps he still put his duty to his niece, we'll call her in air quotes, above a friendship or a kinship with you.
Yeah, no,
I think
absolutely.
He strikes me as a man of duty.
Yeah, no, his whole thing would absolutely be for his niece, but I really think he set us off on either way, she's gonna get what she needs for the pin, and if I can't do it, then he'll be able to.
Yeah,
I think that.
I would agree, except for I think that the conclusion to his quest line, when you go back to his niece, the painter, it's very it's very melancholic
Yeah.
and subdued, and I think I like the idea that he's lost his mind, and has kind of been stopped to a degree from attaining absolute power.
Oh yeah.
I think I like the idea that this wasn't part of the original plan for him to die.
Right. That you thought he was just gonna like.
That's
become
just a
another
headcanon
Gwyn,
for me.
Basically.
Yeah, I think, yeah, or trying to summon the furtive pygmy or become a reincarnation of the furtive pygmy.
Yeah, because the whole thing of it is like he ate all the original residents so he could like get as much of the Dark Soul. Because I think it was pretty much gone by the time he got there. And the only
Yeah.
like way he could was like through the blood of the people who lived there.
Yeah.
That puts another kind of angle on it because he's a slave knight. He was like thingied under Gale, so it is
Yeah.
really interesting. Like, obviously, he would have seen like been in a lot of wars, just not like credited, obviously, because he's a slave. So like he would have seen
Yeah.
like the worst of like Gwyn and like what he can do, and like he was that close to becoming just like him. I think adds another like really like horrible layer to it.
I think he has the perfect backstory
Yeah.
to become one of the best anti-heroes in Dark Souls. Or, well, depends which way you look at it, really.
Yeah.
Because he is a champion for humanity.
Yeah.
And the only way that he could attain the power necessary to defeat the gods and enact humanity's wish is to ironically
completely far
yeah.
gone, like make like do
Yeah.
all these heinous actions because like the pygmies didn't hurt anyone. They're just chilling in their little chairs and he's eating them.
Yeah. So yeah, I like the idea of Slave Knight Gale becoming an anti-hero turned villain.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't think he's improvised any part of this plan. I think he knew from the beginning what he needed to do, and I think he had this burning hatred of the gods within him to carry it out.
Yeah.
Despite anything, he has a very silent, stoic strength in him.
Yeah.
To carry out his revenge upon the gods that have used him.
And you know, I think that's it says a lot, like in and of itself, that we can
Yeah.
read it like quite substantially in either way. Where like he did take into account that like you were probably gonna kill him, or that like that wasn't going according to plan. The fact that it could go either way, I think, says a lot for like how interesting like he is as a character.
Yeah.
And, like as a fight, it's just like. I think it just does the perfect amount of like unique stuff where like he's got his big sword, he's got the crossbow, taking some inspiration from Guts from Berserk, the big sword and the crossbow arm, and the lightning and the like skulls in his cloak that he can do.
Yeah.
But like it's not like a gimmick fight either. It's like a proper duel, which I think is like the only fitting thing that could be like the final boss. So
Yeah.
I definitely think he should be an S. I'm thinking above the Soul of Cinder, maybe even above the Nameless King, but I'm not sure. What
I'm thinking definitely above the Soul of Cinder, not necessarily above the Nameless King. But having said that, we've just gushed for probably 5 minutes straight about how much we just love this guy's backstory and how much we love this guy.
Yeah,
and
like
his
we did
his
gush a bit about
aims.
Nameless King, to be fair, but I think
Oh, yeah.
story-wise there is a bit more to Gale. There's a bit more substance than there is to the Nameless
Yeah.
King. I'm kind of now thinking a bit over, but
I do like the Nameless King's fight a lot more. Ironically, I think a lot of people would disagree with me on that.
I like.
I still
about
think
the
that-
same personally.
Yeah. I mean, not to brag too much, but I did beat him. I did beat Slave Knight Gale on my first try
On
ever.
your first try, and
Yeah, on my first try,
it took
and
me
I
a
only
few
used
goes.
20 Estus flasks.
Only 20.
Only 20 Estus flasks. I'm really good at this game.
Well, let's have a little look at our where we've put things to make sure we're happy where everything is. So in D tier, in the stinky tier, we've got
Oh, yeah.
Ancient Wyvern, Champion Grave Tender and the Wolf, and High Lord Wolney. I'm very happy with all these guys being down here.
I've got no complaints.
C tier, we've got the Curse Rod Greatwood, Aldridge, the Crystal Sage, and Udex Gundy. Again, I'm absolutely fine with all these. There's no changes for me.
I think just for the importance that Udex Gundyr plays to the introduction of the game, I would maybe put him low B underneath Old Demon King. Replace Udex with the Hail Light.
I mean, we can just have them both there, like have them in between.
Perhaps.
Because I don't think Half-Light's like bad enough to put them in C. Like C for me is like the fight's not awful, it's just kind of underwhelming. I don't think Half-Light is necessarily like really underwhelming, it's just like fine. Okay, so B, we've got Half-Light, we've got Udex Gundyr now, Old Demon King, Deacons of the Deep, Vault of the Boreal Valley, and Yorm the Giant. I'm fine with where all these guys are, personally.
I'm happy with that. Got a lot of gimmick fights in there.
Yeah,
That's
I
kind
think
of like
that's where like
where
the
the
gimmick
litmus.
fights go, though, unless there's like, a big exception.
Yeah.
Okay, for A, we've got Lothric and Lorien, Pontiff Sullivan, Dragon Slayer Armor, Champion Gundyr, the Demon Prince, Dancer of the Boreal Valley, and Abyss Watchers. I'm completely fine with all those. I'm actually kind of thinking now, maybe putting Champion above the Demon Princes.
I'd agree. I would agree with that. I would also probably demote Demon Slayer behind Pontiff.
Dragon Slayer Armor. Yeah, that's fair, because they're both really good fights, but Dragon Slayer's obviously doesn't really have anything to him, because he's just literally a suit. Pontiff orchestrated a good, like, pretty much half of the first half of the game.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to pay a little bit of homage to the real Pontiff, you know?
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
Alright.
We visit in his grave tomorrow.
You know what, yeah. Do you know what? I'm gonna kick it. Cause
I'm gonna pour some of that top shelf whiskey on his grave for you. He was a real one.
Listen, he's a naughty boy. I think you should get some bottom shelf whiskey personally. I think you should get some like Rack Daniels.
Yeah, I like a bad boy personally. Maybe not like a terrorist, but you know.
He was kind of borderline.
He was kind of like a borderline bad boy / terrorist. He had that. He had that bad bitch energy, you know.
Okay, so now we've got Lothric and Lorien, Dragon Slayer Armor, Pontiff Sullivan, Demon Prince, Champion Gundyr, the Dancer, and the Abyss Watcher. I think that's a lot better, actually.
I like that. I'm happy with that.
And now we've got Dark Eater Medea, Soul of Cinder, Slave Knight Gale, Nameless King, and I'd say because they were both our Vito, Osiris, and Frida are going to be joint first. Because I've got no problems with the rest of it, but because both of our S's are Vito picks, I say they're both joint first. They're hanging out, they're having a nice cup of tea together. They're
talking about how much they hate humans.
Yeah.
Probably.
You know what? Freed's one of those persons. I guess that is still the right word, but Freed's one of those people that are like, she's a pick-me. She's a pick, like, I hate humans too, you know. God.
Yeah, she's a pick-me girl.
That's why I hang out with dragons. They're less bothered.
Less drama. I dyed my hair black, so now I'm Black Flame Freed. I have a different personality now.
Yeah.
Stop shit talking Freed.
I'm not. She's just funny.
She's my wife.
It's just my favorite friend.
She's my wife that won't talk to me.
Well, they're at the top. They're both joined first. They won. I can shit talk all they want, but they're on the first place podium.
Congratulations, Osiris and Sister Freed.
Popping the champagne.
You made it.
Yeah,
that was a good video.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me. It's been a lot of fun.
No problem. I've had a lot of fun doing it. It was quite good to revisit some of those memories of fighting these bosses.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it comes back when you talk about them in a great amount of detail.
Oh, yeah. Well, like Dark Souls 3's bosses, like except like apart from like the very small minority that we've got in D, I think like its bosses are consistently like very high quality.
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean we got that bell curve,
Yeah,
and the middle of it is hitting A. That's good. That's just a
that's the peak.
testament to how good the quality of Dark Souls 3's bosses are.
Yeah, like
The overall quality of the game is just sublime.
it is, but I think like its bosses are like what it does like the best, like personally.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's got a lot. It's got a lot to compliment on. They're fun to fight in a lot of different ways. That Dark Souls 3. I know everyone talks about dex builds with dual blades, twin blades. But there's a lot of viable builds in this game
Oh yeah, like I've never
that
done
makes
that. I've
fighting.
always been
Yeah.
like big bonk, but like there is a ton of like really viable and creative builds you can do that like
Yeah.
makes the fights very different. But that's our boss rankings, and that's gonna be the end of the video. So thank you for watching again. Thank you, Chris, for coming on, and yeah, I'll see people in my next video.
It was fucking Kevin Spacey.